Is JetBlue a good airline? Is JetBlue a reliable airline? Is JetBlue a quality option for the money? Join me as we put all those questions to the test as we fly JetBlue Airways from San Francisco to Los Angeles for the very first time. This is going to be a blast, and I'm super excited for this. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Welcome everybody to San Francisco International Airport. San Francisco is a very easy airport to navigate, and we were able to get through security within just a few minutes. I'm super excited to try JetBlue for the very first time today, as the check-in process along with booking was very convenient and easy. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit though, but nevertheless, here's our aircraft for today's flight, November 595 Juliet Bravo, which is a JetBlue Airways Airbus A320 that's 19 years old. Better yet, this aircraft's in the special Boston Celtics livery. JetBlue has several special livery aircraft, and I'm feeling super fortunate to fly one here today on my first JetBlue flight. That being said, let's go ahead and get boarded up, everybody. And welcome to seat 7A, everybody. This is going to be an awesome seat for today's flight, and I'm super excited for it. With all this established, let's go ahead and push back, everybody. Be sure to stay on the lookout for all the in-flight videos, as those will be coming out very soon. And here we go for our takeoff out of San Francisco International Airport, everybody. I really hope you all enjoyed this, as it was absolutely fantastic. Alrighty everybody, so let's go ahead and get into the cruising session, as we have a bunch to establish here with just a little bit of flight time. So let's go ahead and get started with JetBlue, talk about the overview of them, what their future looks like, and also jump into a little bit about this route as well. So first and foremost, JetBlue Airways, if you don't know, was established in 1999 by David Neilman, who's a very successful aviation entrepreneur, starting various airlines along with all the other successful work that he has done. With that said, the thought here for JetBlue was to have a Southwest type concept offering low fares to the customers, but also introduced new technology that other airlines haven't at that time, including in-flight entertainment, Wi-Fi, along with radio stations and other really cool technology to make it innovative at the time for the customers. The airline started in February of 2000 at New York's John F. Kennedy Airport, and one fun fact to note is that JetBlue's livery actually was supposed to be yellow to represent a taxi for quick travel time, but it later was changed to the blue livery that we know today. So JetBlue started off hot, and then unfortunately during 9/11 the airline tumbled a little bit, but luckily got back to a really good peak there from 2002 to 2005. By then, what happened after that was in 2006 and 7, there was various factors that led to a little bit of decline. JetBlue started losing millions of dollars, and it went a little off the rails there for a little bit. But they changed up their business strategy a little bit in 2008 as they started introducing basic economy-like concepts, including charging for bags and seat selections, which really helped out the airline. And they also had massive expansions to places like Boston Logan Airport and also Florida with Orlando International and Fort Lauderdale. All this would prove powerful for JetBlue by 2010, as the airline was in good standing. They were going strong with all their new products. They were making huge revenue off of what they were charging for, and also offering pretty affordable prices for customers still at this point, after a variety of real-world situations led to the point where they were at that point. But yeah, from 2010 to 2020, it was pretty smooth sailing. There was a variety of events that really contributed to what we know today. New products were introduced, like the JetBlue Mint cabin, so that's definitely interesting to note. And they also started various partnerships with airlines. So airlines like Aer Lingus and Condor, these airlines that are not a part of any alliances, they started partnerships with them, and it honestly went really well. They also had a variety of other experiments through this time, including the Northeast Alliance with American Airlines, which was pretty interesting to watch, and a variety of other ones airlines as well. They also started a really interesting focus city during this time at the Long Beach Airport in California, so that was a reliever to the LAX airport, and it proved powerful for JetBlue as they were very successful there for a very long time. But then the pandemic of 2020 happened, and it pretty much tumbled from there. JetBlue started to lose substantial funds along with money as well, and it's just an ongoing spiral effect. So it was pretty unfortunate. They even tried to get into a merger with Spirit, which did fall through, which ended up being for the best, as Spirit Airlines is in a worse position than JetBlue. So all of that leads to where we are today and what the future for JetBlue is going to look like. They're making some dramatic changes in their network, and they also have started flying transatlantic flights. So that includes services from New York to places like Amsterdam, London, Dublin, and others. So this has really changed up the strategy for the airline, offering quite a bit of variety, and I believe they're also going to introduce lounges as well in the future. So it's definitely interesting to see what's going on with JetBlue right now, and it's going to be even more fascinating to see what happens in the future. So it's quite a fascinating operation, a bunch of up and downs, but hopefully more ups as they continue to move into the future with a bunch of logistical changes and strategy differences. So that's currently what's going on right now with JetBlue, and that's a little bit of an overview. So overall, the carrier's had a very fascinating history, and there's some great videos online if you're interested for a more comprehensive roundup. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the booking process, along with all the other places that customers are going to see JetBlue, along with their check-in process. So the booking process was nice, easy, and fast. There was no real hurdles to it. The website interface is very friendly and very easy to get ticket spots, so that was definitely nice. The prices are also very good on the majority of their routes, especially some of the shorter offerings. You will see JetBlue flying transcontinental flights within the United States and also transatlantic flights to Europe. So some of those by default are going to be higher, but obviously your domestic flights in the US are pretty solid. In this particular case, I ended up getting this flight for $45, which this is a very competitive segment, so there's reason for that. But you can definitely find, the majority of their flights anywhere from $75 to $150, which is a pretty healthy range. So that's definitely exciting to see. As for the check-in process, it was good, very efficient, and very convenient to do. There wasn't too many check boxes, and it went pretty fast, so that's nice. The seat selection was also pretty easy. JetBlue does have a variety of fares. I believe they have Core Blue, which is the equivalent of Basic Economy, and then you have Blue, which includes a seat selection, and I believe you also get a carry-on bag, and then the other fares you start to get into. And as I mentioned earlier, some of the different aircrafts have different types of products. So you have the Mint cabin, so that would be a fare, and I also believe on some of their aircraft they have Mint Studio, which is one of the premier aircraft products on narrow body airplanes. So definitely check out YouTubers like Jeb Brooks that have more comprehensive roundups on what those products look like. It is really cool, and I think that definitely goes to show that JetBlue is the most innovative low-cost carrier with regards to different aircraft products. You start all the way down at Basic Economy, and then you get all the way up to what essentially is a first-class product. So it's really insane and really crazy to think about the amount of variety that JetBlue exhibits through their aircraft. I do think that's definitely worth highlighting because you don't see other carriers that are this innovative. Most of their competition on some of these routes, would include airlines like Frontier and Spirit, and these carriers don't even have more than just extra legroom seats. Spirit has a big front seat, but it's definitely interesting to think about. And then you got to really decide, where does JetBlue fit in? And it's really interesting. Jeb Brooks made a video recently comparing JetBlue to airlines like Southwest and Breeze. I really do feel like this is where JetBlue probably fits best. They kind of attack a variety of different markets, right? So some of these routes they're flying to some smaller operations like Syracuse, New York, and then they're going hand in hand on operations like this from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Where does JetBlue truly fit in? And I feel like JetBlue has got into quite a few rabbit holes in the aviation landscape. This is good and bad, but typically speaking, for most airlines and what's been successful historically, obviously the world's changed a bunch, but historically speaking, this goes for about any business, you're going to want volume, and then you're also going to want a reasonable cost to the consumer to get as much product out there. So in this particular case, it's kind of tough to do that when you have your foot in about 6 different sections. You're flying international flights, then you're flying to, some smaller flights, then you're going hand in hand competing on some of these most popular routes. So where do you truly fit in? And then you have to look at an airline like Frontier that's prioritized big city flying, the big city flying. And then look at an airline like Southwest that's done a little bit of mid-sized operation, but they also do a bunch of big city to big city flying. So it's just really tough for an airline to be super successful successful when you're in 6 different places. However, I do prop JetBlue for attempting to do this, and I do think there's definitely been success to it. I believe that they've done really well with their international operations so far. I hope that continues. They also have a bunch of flying from both New York, Boston, and Florida to the Caribbean, which I think's also been another sector they've done very well in, but they've also had a couple of failures, unfortunately, including their presence in Southern California. They moved all their Long Beach flights over to Los Angeles International for a period of time, and they've pretty much cut all those routes. So there's been up and downs for JetBlue for sure, and there's definitely a time and place for a video topic on this, but I do think that JetBlue has done a really good job exploring all these areas, and I'm hopeful that they'll be able to consolidate to what they think will work well in the future. So that's kind of a rundown there. I know we started on the check-in process and somehow got to that topic, but that's kind of where we're at with JetBlue and what the future looks like. So let's go ahead and talk about this particular aircraft, with November 595 Juliet Bravo, which is a 19-year-old Airbus A320. These are the primary aircraft you're going to see in the JetBlue fleet. You will see a handful of Embraer 190s left, which they've flown for several years, and you'll also see some newer aircraft like the Airbus A321 family, including the Airbus A321neo and A321LRs. These aircraft have proved powerful for JetBlue, introducing new concepts like transatlantic flights to their network, which has proved powerful. Going from a place like Syracuse to Dublin wouldn't have been possible on an airline like JetBlue in the past. That would have been a given Delta or United flight. Now you have the option of JetBlue. Similar concept going to a place like, let's go with, let's see, I'm trying to think of a good example. Even like a San Juan, typically you would think Delta or somebody, but JetBlue can do this too. So it's really impressive to see what they've been capable of, and overall it's been quite fun to watch. So this aircraft was super nice in this particular case. JetBlue's been very innovative and very up to speed with regards to in-flight entertainment and the technology that they provide for passengers, which I think is really huge. From Wi-Fi to obviously amazing DirecTV streaming and all the movies that they have on the system, it is truly innovative and really awesome for some of those longer transcontinental flights and now the transatlantic flights as well. So I think it is really cool that JetBlue can cater to markets like this. It's obviously just very selective, especially in the East Coast realm, where they don't fly to every single airport around there, but they do fly to some of the biggest, like Raleigh, Durham, and your airports like I'm trying to think of one, Pittsburgh, and places like that. So it's definitely very interesting and fascinating to think about that. Also, not to mention how great the views have been on this flight. I know I kind of got sidetracked, but take a look how awesome the landscape here is in California. You can see so many different land features along with the ocean as well. So all of it put together has been quite awesome, and it's been really cool to see this. So as of for this particular flight from San Francisco to Los Angeles, we were delayed a little bit on the ground due to congestion at LAX. That's pretty standard, not very surprising there. But there are several airlines that have flown this route in the past and that are currently flying it. The airlines that are currently flying San Francisco to Los Angeles include American Airlines, Alaska, we have Delta, United, Southwest, Frontier, and then JetBlue actually terminated this service, which is crazy to think about, but again, it's just so competitive. How can you make money when you're selling your tickets at $40? It usually doesn't happen very often, so that's why they are out of this market and they don't operate it anymore. So unfortunate, but it's just the reality of the situation. Anyway, though, I know that was a pretty comprehensive thought process for JetBlue, but I definitely want to introduce them as they're a very unique carrier here, and I really wanted to dive into some details. So with that being said, let's go ahead and descend into Los Angeles International Airport. We'll fly a right downwind for runway 24 right. This is my first time at LAX since 2016, so on the inside, I am super excited to be here for the first time in 7 years. So I'm super excited to dive into all this. So I really hope all of you enjoyed the views in the landing here at Los Angeles International Airport. It was absolutely terrific. I personally really enjoyed my experience on JetBlue. The seat was comfortable, the in-flight entertainment was great, and the price was definitely right for a service like this. I think I paid Blue, which was $60, but I got the bag and the seat selection, which on other carriers would be nearly $40 combined. So only paying additional, I think 25 or whatever it was a very fair discount, and I really enjoyed what JetBlue had to offer. The convenience, the great booking, and the service definitely reflect what I saw when I was booking the flight. So I personally really enjoyed it. I'm super excited to share more JetBlue flights with you all in the future. It's just really tough to get them on the perfect segment for me, meaning that there's not much of them in the Midwest. So I either have to go to the East Coast and do some work over there, or in this case, the West Coast, and find a segment where it works out. So I definitely want to do more of it, especially on a longer offering, to see what their snacks look like and all that. So definitely stay on the lookout for that. But anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and land into Los Angeles International Airport. I really hope all of you enjoy this. Let's go ahead and touch down, everybody. And welcome to Los Angeles International Airport, everybody. Let's go ahead and taxi over to the gate, get deplaned, and get our final thoughts for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching this trip report on JetBlue with their Airbus A320 and the Boston Celtics livery from San Francisco to Los Angeles International Airport. Be sure to stay on the lookout for all the in-flight videos coming from this trip, all the different flights coming as well, and all of what's to come. Super cool to get to fly the first special livery. Kind of forgot to go into a little bit of a segment on that, but I really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful time. The Boston Celtics livery is really cool. I've seen it in the past, so first JetBlue flight being a special was awesome. You can definitely get more specials with them, and that's another cool component of their operation. As of for this particular one, though, feeling very fortunate. I think this is only my second or third special to this point, and I'm super glad to get to feature it here, and I hope each and every one of you enjoyed this. But with that being said, everybody, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. My name is Director of Aviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do what you love and love you do. My name is Director of Aviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Director of Aviation is signing off. CBS.
There it is, in the, right there. Beautiful. That's great. Very nicely done.
And welcome to Los Angeles International Airport, everybody. Let's go ahead and taxi over to the gate, get deplaned, and get our final thoughts for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching this trip report on JetBlue with their Airbus A320 and the Boston Celtics livery from San Francisco to Los Angeles International Airport. Be sure to stay on the lookout for all the in-flight videos coming from this trip, all the different flights coming as well, and all of what's to come. Super cool to get to fly the first special livery. Kind of forgot to go into a little bit of a segment on that, but I really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful time. The Boston Celtics livery is really cool. I've seen it in the past, so first JetBlue flight being a special was awesome. You can definitely get more specials with them, and that's another cool component of their operation. As of for this particular one, though, feeling very fortunate. I think this is only my second or third special to this point, and I'm super glad to get to feature it here, and I hope each and every one of you enjoyed this. But with that being said, everybody, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. My name is Director of Aviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do what you love and love you do. My name is Director of Aviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Director of Aviation is signing off.